All right, now, everybody. Quiet, listen to me. We're going to start a show. Now, some of you people have been with me before. You know it's going to be a tough grind, but we're going to have a show.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you. I know it's our Friday show. We've made it through another week as America comes unraveled. It is great to be with you all.
Mark, are you here?
Yes.
Yes, he's here. Hello, Mark.
I am here, and so is our delightful producer, Albert.
Albert, thank you.
And Kim, who is watching.
Kim, how are you?
Every news event worldwide. Kim with a background in news that rivals even the finest journalists. That's why we paid the big money to get her.
What?
And I'm also very much aware in the U.S. There is a growing storm, and I'm not talking about the storm of fascism. I'm not talking about the storm of incompetence. I'm not talking about the storm of disease. All those storms are brewing also. I'm talking about a legit weather event that is affecting a lot of the United States of America, from the Northeast all the way into the Central and Southern Plain states, with freezing temperatures, a lot in the way of, I guess it's snow and freezing rain and sleet, and it's a major storm, isn't it, Kim?
It's huge. It's a huge storm. And it's going to...
There's never been anything like this.
It's going to affect a lot of people from eastern Texas into the southern United States, onto the East Coast. It's called a crippling ice storm.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean,
A crippling
we got an ice
storm.
storm in more ways than one.
Yeah. Well, we have our Doppler, the Mark Thompson Show Doppler, which is trained on much of the nation to try to give you real-time updates. The peak of the bad weather, as I understand it, is late today and tomorrow. You can see what it's doing to trees, power lines, as that ice congeals around so many of these structures. It creates huge issues. I mean, the travel issues alone are insane. But they are getting it all the way in the South. There is Well. Well says, I'm ready down here in Mississippi. And look at that. What is that from? I think I did see that picture also yesterday.
Is that from the Midwest, from this article?
Wow. That is from the Midwestern U.S. Look at that. These are just, and now we're showing, for those who are just listening and not watching, we're showing what essentially are ice-encased structures. This is a house completely encased by ice, and the wind has driven the ice and the ice droplets so that you actually see the direction of the wind in the frozen icicles on the house. It's insane. It's from a lighthouse in Maine, says Richard. That's right. It was a series of lighthouses. That's right. Thank you, Richard. I remember that too now. I'd seen it also. These are great pictures, though.
I have the Doppler. Here's the Doppler images.
There is the exclusive Doppler that shows you from western Texas all the way to the Northeast. 172 million people under weather warnings. 1,700 flights have been canceled or are poised to be canceled. We're showing you a 4-box of weather that's hitting now and also preparations that are being taken. Tens of millions of Americans brace for massive storm is what NBC is saying. And so it was, and so it is. If you are joining us from a place that is not storm-ridden, welcome. You can feel lucky. I am wearing the Born to Peacefully Resist t-shirt. I show it to you because you can have it as well. It's I like this one because of the, I don't know, the green, maybe the earth or something.
I really like the sunshine you had yesterday.
The sunshine, that might be my favorite. The Project 1984.5 is my total favorite, but these are simpler, font forward things. Born to Peacefully Resist, and there's a Peacefully Resist mug that's kind of more Spartan, and then, of course, Make Love Not Fascism. And all of this stuff, including the shirt that I'm wearing now, is at getmarkmerch.com. There's the Project 1984.5. I just think we're living these in Orwellian times. This is 1984.5. And you can see it in several different. That's the one I'm wearing today, Born to Peacefully Resist, with the earth in the center. Getmarkmerch.com if you want to rep the merch, and wherever you are, whatever gathering you've put together, you can do it. Anyway, that's that. I just reference it because I'm wearing it. So rock on. I am about to convene things here. Is there anything else I need to attend? I'm going to put my jacket on. Anything else I need to attend to? Kim, anything from your world that I need to pay special attention to?
No, I think we're good. Hilo Karen says, I have the mug and 2 shirts, and I love them.
I am loving hearing that.
And then another Karen D says, all those who left California, enjoy that weather in Texas, the Midwest, and Florida.
Yeah, and Ted Cruz, who's famous for leaving Texas, as you know, when the weather gets bad. He actually was on a flight to California as the
sucker.
Yeah, he never likes to stick around when his constituency is actually freezing their butts.
It was obviously a mistake, and in hindsight, I wouldn't have done it.
Well, I'm telling you that it's
hey, look, we don't have school. Let's get out of here.
Freezing temperatures in Texas. Not to mention the kind of power outages they'll see because of those ice storms that we're talking about. Anyway, bottom line is Texas, not the best place to be right now, at least weather-wise. But, Texas is going to get it. And guess what? Ted Cruz is not in Texas. He's headed to California. Yeah, he did it again, says Karen. That's exactly right. So, all right.
The Mark Thompson Show.
We are aware of something that I'll play you a couple of clips. Didn't I send you a couple of clips of Jack Smith, or did we run those yesterday? I can't remember. Jack Smith really blew up Capitol Hill with his, this is a courageous man. He's a man of public service, and he was the public voice of what an investigation really that was designed to hold to account Donald Trump, who was the leader of the parade when it came to January 6th and the scheme to overturn the election. So he spoke about his investigations into Trump. He talked about the fact that it was a criminal scheme that Donald Trump was heading up, and that his attempt to overturn his 2020 election loss rose to the level of a criminal act. And he had the evidence to bring that case. Now, as we've discussed on the show, his appointment to that position was slow-walked and, in essence, left the door open for Trump to be able to skate, and that's exactly what's happened. But to revisit Jack Smith at the behest of the Republicans, who are trying to rewrite the history of January 6th, it's interesting. And as Smith speaks and takes on these Republicans, he speaks, it seems, honestly, and he speaks as an earnest public servant who has operated under Republican and Democratic administrations. Here's a little bit of Smith speaking yesterday on Capitol Hill.
Before the committee today, I want to be clear. I stand by my decisions as special counsel, including the decision to bring charges against President Trump. Our investigation developed proof beyond a reasonable doubt that President Trump engaged in criminal activity. If asked whether to prosecute a former president based on the same facts today, I would do so regardless of whether that president was a Democrat or a Republican. No one should be above the law in this country, and the law required that he be held to account, so that is what I did. To have done otherwise on the facts of these cases would have been to shirk my duties as a prosecutor and as a public servant, of which I had no intention of doing. As I testify before the committee today, I want to be clear. I stand by my decisions as special counsel.
Yeah. And so that was the opener. The GOP, of course, portraying his investigations as a politically motivated attempt to prevent Trump from returning to the White House. Democrats praised him. And Smith said, when asked point blank, do you think essentially that this administration is going to go after you, this Justice Department is going to prosecute you? He said that he expects that the Trump Justice Department will try to indict him, but that he will not be intimidated. Jamie Raskin brought up the fact that a court order prevented him from addressing his report in the Trump documents case. And he wants to bring Smith back to testify on the documents case once that judicial order expires. Raskin has signed a letter along with every Democrat outlining that intention to bring Smith back to answer all of the unanswered questions of, if you will, another part of his work that wasn't associated with J6. So the overturning of the election, believe it or not, is not all there was with Donald Trump. The documents case, to me, it's the open and shut case that you, in the public, can easily understand, right? We don't need any kind of deep legal knowledge. Does this constitute treason, sedition, etc.? You don't need to do any of that arithmetic with the documents case. Guy jacked him, put him in a bathroom, put him in a ballroom, thousands of documents were military secrets. These were top-level documents taken from secure locations into wildly insecure locations, and then actively moved to defeat a subpoena that demanded their return. This is after the polite request for their return. Remember, they sent those letters, we think maybe there's been a misunderstanding type thing. You took a bunch of stuff. Maybe it's time to return it. We can't account for, blah, blah, blah. That didn't work, so they had to serve him with a subpoena. That was the raid on Mar-a-Lago. Well, I mean, again, they gave him all these other chances and exit ramps, and Trump not only didn't take them, when the FBI arrived, they actively sought to keep those documents away from the FBI so that Trump could retain them. Still makes no sense. David K. Johnston and others who are much smarter than I am sort of suggesting that maybe he literally was going to sell the documents, that he's so transactional that that's the reason he hangs on to this stuff. Anyway, the idea that Smith should be vilified in any way is just, it's loathsome, right? But it's politics now in Washington. So he was read back all of these posts from Donald Trump calling Smith a deranged animal, and Smith was, predictably unmoved by that. But then Trump, on his way back on Air Force One from Davos, said that Smith is being decimated before Congress. And because you saw the kind of, again, he was there to be pilloried by people like Jim Jordan, And so they were prepared to go after him and to try to tear him to pieces to build this up as a political case. They are rewriting the history of January 6th and the 2020 election. They're rewriting it as stolen. So this was all in service of that.
When you watched the Republicans, as you mentioned, like Jordan, go after Jack Smith, it just seemed like all they did was not give him any time to talk. They just, said what they wanted to say, left him no time to answer the question. It didn't seem pilloried to me, because when he was given a chance to speak, he was very forthcoming and believable.
Yeah, well, pilloried precisely because of what you're saying, because he wasn't allowed to speak. He was utterly, it was like a It was a mauling, a rhetorical mauling that was going on, and because he wasn't allowed to speak. I mean, that's what a lot of these hearings are.
Yeah.
They're designed to put
Grandstanding.
a profile and a narrative together in a public forum. And these public officials, they steal the limelight. It's not there really to, they're in a, isn't it true, sir, that you? That's the kind of dance that they do. Isn't it true, ma'am, that you? Can you explain why you, blah, blah, blah? That's the stuff they do. Yeah, Becca was amazing. This Becca Ballant, who we played for you before, she was amazing. Do you have, is there sound with this, Albert? Yeah, let's just hear a little bit of this. She's really good. She's
if you go after me,
from Vermont,
I'm coming for you. Trump has said that you, Mr. Smith, should be investigated and put in prison. He called you a disgrace to humanity, a radical left Marxist, a criminal. In fact, Trump has used the words deranged Jack Smith 185 times on Truth Social. How do you think that these statements have impacted you, your staff, and your investigation?
With respect to me, I think the statements are meant to intimidate me. I will not be intimidated. I think these statements are also made as a warning to others what will happen if they stand up. And I am, as I say, I'm not going to be intimidated. We did our work pursuant to department policy. We followed the facts and we followed the law, and that process resulted in proof beyond a reasonable doubt that he committed serious crimes. I'm not going to pretend that didn't happen because he's threatening me.
And Mr. Smith, do you believe that President Trump's Department of Justice will find some way to indict you?
I believe that they will do everything in their power to do that because they've been ordered to by the president.
We thank you for watching.
So there you have it. I just think she's very good. Again, I think we know this dance a little bit because we know the Trump dance, and we also know the realities of what Jack Smith's investigation uncovered. I mean, I thought it seems clear, but nonetheless, because this is the forum in which a lot of this conversation is being held right now, I think it's worth noting. So yeah, he was unflappable. All of you who suggest he was unflappable, yeah. This is a brilliant public servant who's, again, been brilliant and has worked under Republican and Democratic administrations. That is what they do, Kim, says CC Ryder. Their playbook in hearings is to use their time to advance lies and propaganda. Then right-wing media uses those clips. All gaslighting. Dems must counter the lies. Yeah, that's basically what I was saying, but thank you for actually putting in some additional specifics, which is associated with the propaganda machine. I would say, though, to be fair, which I always try to be, it is true, and I feel like we're looking up against this insanely powerful propaganda machine on the right now. But I do want to say that these hearings are a spectacle and a showplace much of the time, regardless of party. So the Democrats can have one, and the Republicans. So I don't want to say it's only the GOP that uses them as a showplace. Democrats do as well. I can say now that this thing, which was designed absolutely as a way to smear Jack Smith and to create a narrative that this was a politically motivated investigation, that was completely designed for that end, and it was effectively undermined, I thought, by Democrats. But to CC's point, I don't think that much of the right-wing media sphere is ever going to see that stuff. You're not going to see the Democrat stuff. Smith has my deepest respect, and he's facing a lot, says Hilo Karen. Exactly. All right, I want to move on because there's a lot going on in the world of ICE as well. So,
The Mark Thompson Show.
Smash the like button, which I have to ask you to do. It is our Friday show. We try to include
with
some
your iron rod.
Yeah, smash it with your iron rod. The Friday show includes Mo Kelly and Michael Shure, hour 2.
What?
The Culture Blaster, hour 2. The Oscar nominations just came out. A record number of nominations for that movie Sinners. which Michael liked that a lot. So I'll be curious to know what he thinks.
That was like one of the 3 movies I watched last year. It was very good.
Now, Albert, it's supposed to be super gory, is it? Or is it gory or violent? There's a difference.
I'd say it's a mixture of the two, like a little half and half.
A mixture of the two. I just hope that it's watchable for me. I think I can probably take. I don't like a lot of gun stuff. I don't know, man. I'm just kind of.
I don't think that's like the main theme of it. I think it's more you can see what the narrative is. It adds to the drama of what's going on.
I think I'm going to see it in the next couple of days.
And like that kind of stuff.
Okay,
Albert, thank you.
All right, that's good.
Mark, are you here?
Yeah, I am. Now, I guess I'm looking at some comments here.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. So
and now, your comments.
Noe says Congress people also utilize their time talking to clip themselves sounding scary so they can send it out for donations. That's 100% right. These are really efforts to, so you have a 5-minute chunk and you're looking for little promo clips that you can attach to emails and then send those out. So yeah, that's very, very true. Richard, thank you, Noe. Richard Delamater with a $2 super chat. Does Trump qualify for Antichrist status? Yes, says Richard Delamater. Well, I didn't know that. Richard Delamater now is the arbiter of who is an Antichrist and who is not.
See, Obama would love to be the Antichrist.
Yeah, don't forget about Obama, because Obama wants to be the Antichrist. You got to beat out Obama if you want to be the Antichrist, but maybe Trump can. I mean, Trump couldn't beat out Obama with this Nobel Peace Prize thing, but he might be able to.
See, Obama would love to be the Antichrist.
Maybe he gives him the Antichrist thing. I don't know. Anyway, I'm not sure about that, but thank you. We know your vote is for Trump. Lucy McAllister, my favorite McAllister. Good morning, she says. A $20 super chat. Thank you. Big shout out to you, Lucy McAllister. It seems odd that Kim would be number 2, but she is. She's my second favorite. And a lot of people say, well, but I mean, it's close, right? No, not really. It's not close at all. There's like, like number 1, Lucy, and then way down here is number 2. Kim.
I can't be on the top of everybody's list. It's okay.
No, it's true. Kim is taking it well. So she's, Pillar Reed is a dingword. That's exactly right. Nullifidian, thank you. Walking Dogs in Atherton, says Jim Slayton, who's an OG of this show.
Big shout
out, Jim, with a $5 super chat. He says, relaxing with the soothing audiobook, 1984. Before the Mark Thompson show, yeah. Yeah, welcome to 1984 and a half. It's crazy, huh? Wild. Did you have one more? Canada said no to the Gaza Grift Club membership. This is wild. Thank you, Stella Blue. It is wild. There are 2 things that are wild. Just because you're on Gaza, the Gaza plan, which has been laid out to sort of, the new Gaza, we'd really have to get into some specifics, which I'm happy to do maybe next week when there's more time. But it's a bunch of real estate developers going after Gaza. And, there's a plan that Jared Kushner is sort of heading this up, suggests could be executed within a 3-year period. Now, it's a phased process, but it's absolutely amazing. I mean, amazing in the sense that, what do they say? The body isn't even cold yet, and you've already, you're really already on to the life post mortem. It's chilling. I clicked the like button and I shared it to my Facebook page. Says Gordon,
Yay,
thank you. That is the kind of fine sharing that we need. Yeah. I don't know that this Gaza thing is even reasonable. I think the wilder story, maybe, or just as wild story, Trump should go easy on the aspirin because his hands are so purple, says Mindy Lee. Oh, yeah. You should go with that Tylenol.
Acetaminophen.
Yeah. That's that's the acetaminophen.
Acetaminophen.
Yeah. So I would suggest that just as wild is this peace board. The peace board is insane. The peace board is essentially a group of outlaw nations who don't sign on to any kind of other rules of world order. They have joined in, and when I say outlaw, I mean, I understand some are not classic outlaws, but the one through line is despotism. All of them are despotic, single ruler countries, and they're all paying $1 billion to be in this peace board group that will rival the UN or work with the UN, whatever. It's a shakedown. Trump, having already shaken down America, having already shaken down America's allies and those who are trade partners, having shaken down Vietnam to greenlight his golf resort there so that they could get some tariff relief, having greenlit a bunch of resorts in the Middle East so that they could get tariff relief. The tariff relief that was required in response to the tariffs that were first imposed was, as we identified, a system of patronage. People came to Trump representing their country saying, what can we do to get some relief from these import taxes? And Trump made deals. This is a system of patronage. It happened from the very first hour of these ridiculous tariffs. And the Supreme Court will still rule as to whether or not they're legal. But even as Trump shakes down those countries for personal enrichment, he was shaking down his own country, the U.S. People may forget it because it's such a fire hose of shakedown. $230 million was the relief that he demanded that the U.S. government, you and I, pay him because of the legal harassment that he suffered during the time that he was not president. So here are the countries in the peace board. You can see it. Kazakhstan, Pakistan, Paraguay, Qatar, the Saudis, the Turks, the UAE, Uzbekistan. He can always count on the oil-rich nations for being there. Uzbekistan, Mongolia, Jordan, Bahrain, Morocco, Argentina, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Bulgaria, Hungary, and Indonesia. $1 billion apiece they paid to be in the Trump club. And Trump controls all the money. By rule, the rules having just been set up in the last few hours type thing. Trump controls all the money. So $20 billion. He also has the right to expel any member nation. He has total rights of dissolving the peace board if he wanted to. He could hang on to the money and dissolve the peace board. And they all know it. This is all a system of ingratiation. This is just gangster on a level you couldn't ever conceive.
It says Trump will serve as chairman of the board indefinitely, according to the charter of the Peace Board, possibly holding the post beyond his second term as president. I mean, this is a lifetime appointment.
Yeah, yeah. Welcome to the Peace Board. And he can appoint anybody else, and he can, as I say, he could dissolve the Peace Board and hang on to the money. It's absolutely permitted in the flimsy bylaws set up. You know, they didn't even run them through ChatGPT. You know, this is just an idea hatched and now executed. And you have so many nations that realize, oh, wow, this is really easy. All we have to do is deal with a transactional president in the United States of America now, offer him a pot of gold, and we're in. It's a way to rehabilitate our nation diplomatically, and who knows what benefits we might accrue. So, I want to quickly get to a lot of what's going on with ICE and ICE funding, so you'll permit me a brief pivot here. Yeah.
The Mark Thompson Show.
I do want to talk about ICE, but before I do, I want to talk about our newest sponsor, latest sponsor. We believe in them. I even invited Courtney, who is my loving partner and better half.
Hi.
To talk about Zellman's, because we are all, whether you want to believe it or not, dealing with breath that is, let's face it, it can be, you wake up in the morning, whatever, you have a lot of coffee, you have onions, you have garlic, you get bad breath. It just, you can't eat like a human being eats and not end up with bad breath. You want to think you don't have it.
Yeah,
but you do have it, okay?
But you do.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah.
What? You're not always smelling fresh daisies in there.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's called halitosis.
Halitosis, exactly, right, halitosis. So Zellman's has a dual action, which is associated with a capsule, and inside that capsule, these are, what are they, Courtney? It's like
it's
an oil.
Parsley seed and sunflower seed oil.
Yeah. And so this is a natural derivation, right? A natural concoction. They are mint-coated breath capsules that you swallow. So what I like about it, I usually take about 3 at a time. You can they say take 2 or 3.
Yeah.
So it's got a mint taste when it gets into your mouth. Mm-hmm. So you kind of have that minty thing, and then I just swallow it. I mean, I with a quick swig of water or something.
Yeah, and then you know that your breath is going to be great. Like you don't have to worry about it anymore. You have a confidence there that you don't have to think about it. You can just be with or do with whatever situation you're in. Like tonight, we're going to see my family, so you're going to need a lot of those mints.
I got a big bunch of Zellman's. I got a fistful of Zellman's coming in to meet your family. Zellman's, Zelmins, Zellmans.com. So key to everybody watching and listening is if you go to Zellmans.com. By the way, we tested this for a month. Okay,
we tested them for a month.
We didn't just hatch them onto the air.
We didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it was arduous.
We did. We really kind of wanted to road test it. So Zellman's really does work. I think you'll love it. And they're so wonderful to jump on the show. And Louise says, love these mints. They work great.
Oh, I love that, Louise. Thank you. Yeah.
I mean, again, they're not mints. They're minty tasting. But don't, if you'll suck on them and you'll get down to the capsule. The capsule does all the action in your stomach. And again, so you'll swallow that. And it really is effective. Anyway, 15% off your first order with Mark T at checkout. 15% off your first order. Mark T is the discount code, and they really do work. And I'm excited to have them on the air. And I think a lot of people have ordered them, and they're going to be. Can we give them to our dogs? I wouldn't. I mean, I don't think that the dogs are going to chew them. It probably isn't harmful, but I just wouldn't know. They're really for humans.
No,
you don't bite them, and that's what I like about it is because you get that minty taste in your mouth, which you kind of want. At least I want, and then you swallow it, and you don't bite it. You just kind of let the flavor fill your mouth, and then you swallow it. And so it, as Mark said, it's a dual action thing. So I like it too, Louise. Awesome.
Dual action, actually. I like the
action.
Come on, that's very strong reference.
Yeah.
Will it work at a DUI checkpoint? Asked Chaplain Fred.
I wouldn't test it.
Chaplain Fred, the drinking chaplain, wants to know about the DUI checkpoint. You got it. Well, that's your own road test. We haven't checked that. Zellman's Minty Mouth. Go to Zellmans.com, Zelmins, Zellmans.com. Go there today and use Mark T at checkout for 15% off your first order. Courtney, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right. We'll see you soon. Yeah.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Well, ICE, the controversial, brutish, thuggish arm of government, ICE got money. House Democrats voted overwhelmingly to block additional funding for ICE. But there weren't the votes sufficient to prevent ICE from getting another $10 billion. And Department of Homeland Security, they got $46 billion overall. We asked you in the chat, there's a live chat on YouTube. We asked the chat question, and Albert will show it to you on screen now, but you see it if you're live in the chat. We asked you about how to handle this if you're a Democrat. Now, you know you're in the minority, but what is the right strategy by which you handle these ICE situations and votes on the Department of Homeland Security and on funding ICE? And so we have a flash poll up now.
It's a Mark Thompson Show flash poll.
Do we have it, Albert, or not? No? Kim, do we have it?
Oh, we have it. I'm just adding it to the screen.
Oh, okay. The 7 Democrats who voted in favor of funding Department of Homeland Security and ICE are Henry Cuellar, of course, from Texas, Tom Suozzi, Vincent Gonzalez, Laura Gillen, Maria Glusenkamp, Perez, Jared Golden, and Don Davis. Yeah. Here is the poll. How should Democrats respond to ICE funding votes? Block the funding and risk a shutdown? 80% of you say, yeah, that's exactly what they should do. Fight, but avoid a shutdown, said 17% of you. Accept the fate. There's nothing you can do. You're the minority party, say 2%. So you can vote in our chat on YouTube in the live chat. What's interesting to me is that ICE and ICE funding falls into the category, in my judgment, of defense spending, typically, I mean, historically, meaning you don't want to seem like you're weak on defense. So that's why defense spending has been bloated in the way it is. It's just one of those things that politically becomes difficult to vote against. Are you voting for, cutbacks in the defense of the United States of America? And similarly here, the Department of Homeland Security, they are supercharged with all this money because Democrats have been loath to vote against it politically. So a year ago, when there was the Trump administration's first push to immigration authorities being deployed the way they are, the Democrats voted with the Republicans to increase DHS funding. But now, a year later, or almost a year later, right? Just 7 Democrats voted for the Homeland Security spending bill. So there's all this ICE money that now has been greenlit by the GOP and 7 Democrats, as noted. Here is you get this. I hate what ICE is doing in my district and across the country. It's atrocious. It's appalling. We should find ways to defund those operations in a surgical way. This is one of the votes that went for the funding. Gonzalez, who I mentioned to you. He supported the bill, he says, because it included funding for the Coast Guard and FEMA operations. But voting no just to make a statement could have its own repercussions, he said. Again, the DHS funding bill passed 220 to 207. Democrats' near united stand against the bill comes amid building opposition, of course, to these mass deportations. A 49% plurality of voters in a new Politico poll said the effort, including Trump's widespread deployment of ICE agents across the U.S., is just too aggressive. 49% saying that. So you get how they have perverted the conversation around immigration. This is about border security. That's what was really one of the things that buoyed Trump's campaign and carried him into office, right? It was affordability and these issues at the border. But now you see that just a year later, we realize that the hardline tactics of ICE, the thuggish comportment of ICE, it's unacceptable to many Americans.
One of the things I was surprised at is that Democrats seem to have, I thought, reasonable guardrails that they were asking for. They wanted agents, ICE agents, that obtain warrants before they were detaining immigrants, and they wanted ICE agents to follow a standard use of force policy, which they said could have helped avoid the situation with Renee Good in Minnesota. Those two things, it would seem like that's reasonable, right? Get a warrant before you grab and detain someone, and standard use of force policy that police departments across America follow. And they were thwarted on both of those.
That's exactly right. You'd think at least that modification, which is precisely what they tried. They sort of said, hey, we'll give you this funding, but we want these modifications to ICE policy. The warrant that Kim mentions being one of them. And couldn't get it through. Couldn't get it through. So the funding, bottom line, continues. And there are no real modifications along those lines. And so you end up with the kind of situation that we have in Minnesota and the detention and we'll see, perhaps deportation of that father and son. Albert, you have that story. We'll run it. I'll probably run it again for Michael and Mo, but here is the 5-year-old detained by ICE agents, and keep in mind the fiction that follows. In this story, there's the J.D. Vance fiction that follows the events. There's always the fiction. There's always the narrative. There's always the lie, just as they lied about the murder at the hands of an ICE agent, just as they lie about the deaths that are occurring at these detention centers. They lie about this detention, and they lie about this 5-year-old and the son. I'm sorry, and the son of this guy who was taken into custody. They lie across the board, and you'll see it and hear it out of J.D. Vance. Go ahead, Albert.
Tonight, the haunting images sparking a firestorm. A preschool boy standing in the Minnesota cold, swept up in the ICE crackdown. School officials say 5-year-old Liam, wearing his blue hat and backpack, and his father, Adrian Alexander Conejo Arias, had just pulled into their suburban Minneapolis driveway Tuesday when agents took that father into custody. The school then saying an agent essentially used the 5-year-old as bait, directing him to see if anyone else was home before taking the boy away. The district saying Liam is among 4 students recently detained.
The sense of safety in our community and around our schools is shaken, and our hearts are shattered. And honestly, at the end of the day, children should be in school with their classmates.
But DHS telling a different story, saying ICE did not target a child, claiming Liam's father is an undocumented immigrant and fled on foot, abandoning his son in the driveway. Tonight, during a visit here in Minneapolis, Vice President J.D. Vance saying the agents were protecting the child.
What are they supposed to do? Are they supposed to let a 5-year-old child freeze to death?
But the district says multiple people on scene did offer to take the child, but were refused. Vance broadly praising the work of federal agents, saying the vast majority are doing excellent work. But for the first time tonight, the administration telling me they are willing to discipline ICE officers, quote, when justified.
Somebody did something wrong. Yes, they're going to face disciplinary action, but we're not going to judge them in the court of public opinion.
Vance saying he's trying to ease soaring tensions amid furious protests. Border Patrol Commander-at-Large Greg Bavino tossing a smoke grenade into an unruly crowd. Agents pinning this person to the ground, this stunning image of the pepper spray at close range.
And David, tonight, the chilling image of that little boy standing out in the cold, striking a chord with so many here. The family's lawyer saying the boy's father did come to this country legally. And David, tonight we've learned that both father and son are being held together at a processing facility near San Antonio.
They followed the law in coming to America. They came through the app, the designated app. They came to the border and they requested asylum. They did exactly what was asked by the U.S. government. They were proceeding with the come in the legal way dance that is so demanded. And then the result of that is what we see. More and more, you're seeing detention and the thuggish takedown of people who are showing up at their hearings, the court-prescribed hearings, the designated locations where they're, again, following through the legal way that this country has demanded. And they are being, as I say, taken down. In fact, do you have the Chris Murphy cut toward the top of the rundown, Albert? Chris Murphy, who I think has been great on this, he speaks to exactly what I'm talking about. The idea that they go to these designated court hearings, ICE agents show up, and they're ready to take those who are requesting legal processing of their residency requests. They take them out. And the last thing I'll say about, and then I'll show you Murphy, about this situation in Texas is the fiction that J.D. Vance spins, which is somehow, and was alluded to here, that we didn't want to leave the kid alone. You have the whole place that is available to take this kid. Relatives said, we'll take him. It's outrageous. And the one coda to it all is, as you know, I believe this does make a difference. The image of that child is powerful. And I think this is why all of you who are in these situations and witness this ICE thuggishness, these goons taking people down, where 5 people are taking down some victim of this ICE thuggishness, that needs to be recorded. It needs to be memorialized in photos, in videos, because that, I think, does have an effect on public opinion. And that's why this incident with that 5-year-old has a certain half-life that it might not have if it was just a description, if it was just something we're talking about. Seeing that 5-year-old with the hat, that does matter. So when people ask, what can I do? What can I do? You're doing it. Those pictures, those recordings. Now, I think that picture was taken by a family member. But in any case, here's Chris Murphy talking about what's happening within the judicial process.
Good morning at the immigration court in San Antonio. What I saw was stunning, unconscionable. I want to tell you about it. I'm still seething over it. So in these courtrooms, you have immigrants who are obeying the law, who are here legally. They're showing up to their appointment largely to apply for asylum. It's all fake because the real law is happening in the hallways, where there were this morning about a half dozen ICE officers in plain clothes. We understand normally they have their faces covered, but I think because I was there today, they weren't using face coverings, waiting for these people to come out from their hearings, and then they take them and send them into detention for immediate removal out of the United States. Even though they have a pending claim, even though they have no criminal history, no arrest history, this is what's happening inside of these facilities. I got to talk to the ICE officers. I said, who are you prioritizing? Their answer, everyone. I said, wait, I thought you were prioritizing criminals. They said, nope, we're looking for anyone that walks in to legally present themselves before the court, and we're putting them into detention. A judge got fired last night. She wasn't there today because she was actually implementing the law. But the Trump administration, apparently, in the San Antonio court, is only interested in judges that are rigging the law. At the end of the morning, because folks heard that we were there, we were asked to sit in on a hearing of a young couple and their 2-year-old daughter. We were told that under normal circumstances, just like it happens to most everybody else, when they walked out of that courtroom, they were likely going to be put into detention. Possibly the 2-year-old daughter, who was literally sucking a lollipop inside the courtroom, was going to be thrown into detention. Or at the very least, the husband was going to be ripped away from his daughter and thrown into detention. Again, a family that didn't sneak into the country, that's playing by the rules, that's going through the whole process. We were able to stay close to them, to get them onto the elevator, to escort them out. So at least today, that 2-year-old isn't in detention. What you are seeing is the systemic, hourly violation of the law. Trump is making up his own law. People that are playing by the rules are being put into detention. This has nothing to do with people who are violent. This has nothing to do with targeting criminals. This is just creating an entirely new body of law where might makes right, where even if you show up and do everything you are asked, you're going to still find yourself in detention and on your way out of the country. And seeing it firsthand, looking into the eyes of that 2-year-old girl who maybe, if not for my presence in the court, would be in jail today. It just makes you absolutely furious that this is what our country is doing to people. I spent the morning.
Yeah, I think this is a great post from Murphy, who's been good on this stuff, Senator Chris Murphy.
They're actually punishing people for following the law.
Yeah, that's kind of the point I was making, which is that, I always hear about, they've got to come in the legal way, come in the legal way. Well, these people are all coming in the legal way. I mean, the lion's share of the people you're detaining came in the legal way. You're going to the court to get them. Is showing up to a court-appointed meeting not the legal way? I mean, there is hypocrisy, there is utter falsehood that is undermining all of this, or underpinning all of this, these narratives about how we're taking out, the worst in society, murderers, and I mean, it's just violent criminals, as is demonstrated by the percentages, overwhelming percentages. These are people who are being detained who have no violent history whatsoever. No history of criminal history whatsoever either. Like, it's not their criminality, if you will, is completely associated with the fact that they're in this country without documentation. There is that component. But what's happening here and the way it's happening, the brutality, the thuggishness, it's deliberate. They're trying to get people to self-deport. That's why they use these brutal tactics. It was never about the legal way, says Cassandra. That's exactly right. It never was. There is a protest in Minneapolis. I think they're planning to close businesses today, right, to protest ICE?
It's a boycott, a financial boycott, and businesses are closing down. There's so many businesses participating in Minneapolis.
Even with below freezing temperatures forecast through the end of this week, there are business owners and people saying that they're planning to turn out for an ice out day of protest in the city. Organizers are calling for no work, no school, no shopping, and some businesses, as Kim had noted, said they would close their doors as part of the civil action. This is bigger than the weather, says a retired resident who patrols his block alongside his wife. Posters are calling for statewide action and promoting the protest march and rally. They're pasted in the windows of businesses near the University of Minnesota. It's a big deal. What's happening in America now is scary at the hands of these shock troops. Do I have time for a law and disorder before the boys get here?
I think so.
I really wanted to get to a law and disorder, so let's do it. Albert, I ask you, can we do law and disorder?
I'm ready.
All right. This is Law and Disorder.
In the criminal justice system, the people,
pimps, addicts, thieves, bums, winos, girls who can't keep an address, and men who don't care,
are represented by two separate yet equally important groups.
A cop, a flatfoot, a bull, a dick, John Law, you're the fuzz, the heat, you're poison, you're trouble, you're bad news.
These are their stories.
Well, we lead Law and Disorder with something that is indefensible. It's the taking down of the signage associated with slavery. An exhibit that examines slavery at the president's house at Independence Mall in Philadelphia, dismantled. It just happened yesterday. And already there is a lawsuit associated with this move. The city of Philadelphia filing a lawsuit against Interior Secretary Doug Burgum and Acting National Park Service Director Jessica Bowron over the removal of this signage and artwork associated with slavery. Removing the exhibit is an effort to whitewash American history. History cannot be erased simply because it is uncomfortable. Removing items from the president's house merely changes the landscape, not the historical record, said Philadelphia Council member Kenyatta Johnson. The removal comes after President Trump signed an executive order in March that reads in part, take action as appropriate and consistent with applicable law to ensure that all public monuments, memorials, statues, markers, or similar properties within the department's jurisdiction do not contain descriptions, depictions, or other content that inappropriately disparage Americans past or living. And so the Department of the Interior is saying we are simply implementing the order which carries out President Donald J. Trump's executive action.
Just in time for Black History Month, which is coming up in February, stripping it all of the slavery exhibit. Nice.
I wonder how long Black History Month will survive.
Yeah.
Ex-Theranos CEO Elizabeth Holmes wants what? She wants a commutation from President Trump. And why not?
She's a white-collar criminal, and he likes those, so.
And all she has to do is say the secret word, which is Biden, and she'll get out. I was a victim of a Biden witch hunt, you know.
Is the secret word, here's a check for $1 million?
Well, you have to staple the secret Biden word to the check for $1 million. Combs, she was 41 years old. She's been in prison since May of 2023, stemming from her conviction related to duping her investors by making false and misleading statements. I mean, that's to be polite. She basically defrauded all of her investors out of an S-pile of money. She had a great technology. She had a medical device that could run a range of tests from a single finger prick sample.
It was a miracle.
And it was truly incredible. The only problem was it was totally fake.
Yeah.
And
the science is ridiculous.
Exactly.
Dr. Emil was involved in that. Dr. Emil.
Well, it's funny that I think he was involved early on. I didn't see his name mentioned in any of the
Emil Schaffhausen.
Yeah. But he, to my knowledge, he wasn't mentioned in the court case, so I don't think he's involved.
No.
A bus driver refuses to take bus riders to a D.C. destination. A customer on the East Coast overnight bus ride from New York City to D.C. is claiming that the bus driver reportedly refused to take passengers to their destination. This is the best bus service. And the incident was, I guess it was live streamed?
Sounds like the bus ride from hell.
Yeah. The bus switched drivers at a rest stop, and the new driver said that they're on the wrong bus. The driver refused to communicate with concerned passengers. Instead, the driver just started driving really fast. The speed and deviation from the route prompted many passengers to either call the Best Bus customer service line or local police. Best Bus, again, that's the name of the...
It's not the Best Bus.
Yeah. Attempted to contact the driver, but he wouldn't answer calls. Eventually, a customer got a Best Bus representative on the phone. This is on an overnight ride. I'm sure that wasn't easy. And walked the phone to the driver, where the representative instructed the driver to go to Union Station in Washington, D.C. as scheduled. At that point, the driver reportedly screamed, he doesn't get paid enough, and he still refused to stop, driving erratically toward Vienna, Virginia, and that's where the driver eventually let the passengers off. Best Bus sent another bus to pick up the passengers, and they are looking into this incident. Apparently, everyone got off the bus, and the driver just drove off before the police were able to arrive. The cops had been called.
I want to say that's his last day on the job.
Yeah, I think...
Good day, sir.
I think this is going to be about it. I would think his bus driving days. It'll be tough to get a reference.
Sucker.
I'll say
That's
that.
it.
That's Law and Disorder for today.
Tune in again next time for more Law and Disorder on The Mark Thompson Show.
All right, that's it. Let's roll. Hey, let's be careful out there.
The Mark Thompson Show.
This is Mark Thompson.
Right on, everybody. Excited. Yeah. I am excited to talk to this guy. You know, I've got mad respect for his takes on so much. We kind of ask him to cruise through on Fridays to bring coherence to an incoherent world. He is the brilliant Mo Kelly.
Good to see you,
Look
Mark.
at you. Nice to see you, Mo Kelly. We hope to be joined by Michael Shure, but Michael Shure, of course, he's Mariah Carey when it comes to showing up, so he's predictably late. Mo, shows up on time, has his act together. Michael just, with some kind of wild shimmer, just slides into the chair whenever. But he's actually, to be fair, had some family business on the East Coast with health and stuff, so I think he might be tied up with that. Oh, here he is. All right. Here's a guy who's forgotten more about politics than most of us will ever know, Michael Shure. Nice to see you. So Shure arrives just in time. I'm anxious to review Davos first, and then I want to get to ICE funding and some of the other stuff that's going on. Could you play for Mo and Michael a little bit of the Carney speech at Davos, which I thought really did set the table? Remember, I know it seems like maybe a world ago because the news is coming fast and furious, and there's just a fire hose of crazy coming out of this administration. I mean, scary crazy. But it was in the shadow of the Greenland threat and the threat of tariffs and potential just takeover. I mean, it was really spoken of, we're going to get Greenland one way or another. It was in the shadow of that these Davos remarks were made, and I thought Carney was, I'll just use the word brilliant in his resetting of where we are. Go ahead, Albert.
Percent of us are foreign-born. We practice pluralism. That's a word you haven't heard in America in a year.
No, this is Gavin Newsom.
Where
No,
we
this is Gavin
dominate
Newsom.
in
Okay,
every.
that's not really what I wanted, but the Carney stuff is, I think it's at the top of the rundown, maybe. Kim, maybe you can help Albert find this. The Carney stuff that we reran it earlier in the week. I'd mentioned that we'd run it again here. But you're right, it's not. If you can't find it, I'll just ask the guys to comment on it. But essentially, the reset that Carney did was quite clear and quite stark. It was the hegemonic powers are no longer a kind of brutal world order, a rules order that we can abide by. We have been looking the other way. I thought this was quite revealing for the way he called it out. We, these smaller nations. Oh, we do have it. Okay. Oh, well, let me just I'll just finish the sentence. We've been looking the other way on so much that America has been doing. Now, he doesn't really, I think, mention America by name, but we've kind of been doing a move along, get along thing. Was the point that Carney was making? Here's a little bit of his statement at Davos.
We're reminded that we live in an era of great power rivalry, that the rules-based order is fading, that the strong can do what they can and the weak must suffer what they must. And this aphorism of Thucydides is presented as inevitable, as the natural logic of international relations reasserting itself. And faced with this logic, there is a strong tendency for countries to go along to get along, to accommodate, to avoid trouble, to hope that compliance will buy safety. Well, it won't. So what are our options? In 1978, the Czech dissident Václav Havel, later president, wrote an essay called The Power of the Powerless. And in it, he asked a simple question: how did the communist system sustain itself? And his answer began with the greengrocer. Every morning, this shopkeeper places a sign in his window: "Workers of the world unite." He doesn't believe it. No one does. But he places the sign anyway to avoid trouble, to signal compliance, to get along. And because every shopkeeper on every street does the same, the system persists. Not through violence alone, but through the participation of ordinary people in rituals they privately know to be false. Havel called this living within a lie. The system's power comes not from its truth, but from everyone's willingness to perform as if it were true. and its fragility comes from the same source. When even one person stops performing, when the greengrocer removes his sign, the illusion begins to crack. Friends, it is time for companies and countries to take their signs down. For decades, countries like Canada prospered under what we called the rules-based international order. We joined its institutions, we praised its principles, we benefited from its predictability. And because of that, we could pursue values-based foreign policies under its protection. We knew the story of the international rules-based order was partially false, that the strongest would exempt themselves when convenient, that trade rules were enforced asymmetrically. And we knew that international law applied with varying rigor depending on the identity of the accused or the victim. This fiction was useful. And American hegemony in particular helped provide public goods, open sea lanes, a stable financial system, collective security, and support for frameworks for resolving disputes. So we placed the sign in the window. We participated in the rituals. And we largely avoided calling out the gaps between rhetoric and reality. This bargain no longer works.
So we'll stop there, but I wanted you to hear particularly that last part where he acknowledges that it was a rules-based order that we knew wasn't really being followed by the most powerful nations in that order, that we understood that it was an elastic kind of deal that we had in terms of them adhering to that. And he's speaking, of course, of America. Mo, what were your impressions of the Davos remarks of Carney and the entire Greenland episode that sort of prompted the kind of gaggle of attention that followed with Carney and Trump as well?
I appreciated Carney's remarks because, if anything, it showed a progression and evolution of our allies understanding that there is an actual threat to their existence. I believe during the first Trump administration, you had a lot of our allies, Canada included, looking at Trump as some sort of mercurial, jovial figure who was more bluster than actual threat. And now when you look at what has happened in Venezuela, for example, and now with the threats of Greenland, and you can see how this president has sided with Russia over Ukraine in the management of our geopolitical issues, our allies are waking up to the fact that you cannot necessarily just wait for Trump to go away. Trump is not the aberration. Trump is a reflection of an America which could last beyond Trump as far as MAGA. They've noticed that Trump was elected not once, but twice, and in theory could be continued with J.D. Vance. So Prime Minister Carney is saying we need to fundamentally reassess these alliances, these relationships, and understand that our own security cannot be left to the whims of America.
Michael?
Yeah, I also think that that hockey fan Mark Carney here is saying that he is a different kind of leader. I mean, he's talking about Canada being forgotten. What Trump's foolishness on the world stage leads to is opportunity. We saw it with tariffs. We saw how different economies were trying to find different alliances to say, to give the finger to America and say, we're going to do this our way. And Mark Carney, at the beginning of those, we're talking about some of the people in the back, some of the, the background actors, those who weren't featured all the time. He's talking about Canada there. He's saying this is an opportunity. I'm the leader of a country that is no longer going to take a back seat. I'm the leader of a country like you people are leaders of countries that don't need to take a back seat here. And that so offended Trump because anytime you say that you are not, Trump came out and said that Canada, by the grace of America, exists. That is not at all what Canadians believe. And Trump, said, oh, we're going to take you off our board of peace. You're no longer invited, Mark Carney. And Mark Carney is saying, Fine. You know what? We exist because we're Canada. We're a strong economy. We are still an agrarian economy in many ways. We are a manufacturing economy. And we are going to come to Davos and we're going to say we're also an important country. And there are a lot of us out there. We don't have to sort of kowtow to this behemoth. And I think that's part of the danger of Trump that people don't talk about every single day. They're talking about America first, but it's almost inadvertent isolationism because you're giving an opportunity to all these other nations and all these other leaders to step in and take a role on the world stage that they hadn't taken before. So I think they're probably grateful to Trump in a way. Certainly Canada is, because it gives them an opportunity to be a major player, which frankly, they haven't been, not always because they didn't want to be, but sometimes because they didn't want to be. They're kind of this hemisphere Switzerland in a way. But by the same token, it gives an opportunity that that Carney is pouncing on.
Yeah, and Carney sort of alluded to that we've stepped back and allowed this situation to progress to this point, but no longer.
Right.
And it was, and I like that you called it out, it was a gangster thing that Trump said, which is that, you exist because we let you exist. That's about the most straight up gangster thing I can imagine someone saying,
Yeah, read any short history of Canada and you'll know that. I mean, not that he will, the president won't, but anyone who does will know that Canada exists for many reasons that have nothing to do with the United States.
This is maybe a bigger question that I think we'll kind of mull in the months ahead, but there's no question that the world is resetting. They're kind of level setting everything now in a way that perhaps they didn't contemplate, to Mo's point. Like the first Trump administration, season 1, you really didn't have the kind of open threats and then the follow through that you have now. I think the world's gotten a cold slap in the face.
Well, the question is what the permanence of that too, right? And how, whether the next president, whomever that is going to try and reset it with the Mark Carneys of the world, or they're going to try and go down the same path. Ironically, Mark Carney is probably the best Democratic candidate for president, but he's Canadian.
Right. It does seem that way. I just wonder if these nations are capable of doing this. I mean, meaning this is easier said than done, I think,
Well, can I answer that, Mo, just quickly and defer to you? But that's what I'm talking. This is an opportunity. It isn't easy to do, but Donald Trump has made it easier to do. And Mark Carney is saying, because he's done this, let's not waste this opportunity. And so I think it's a great point, Mark, but I think that Trump has inadvertently made it easier for these countries to come together because they have, in a sense, a common enemy, let's say. I don't know that would be the best way to put it, but they have a common adversary in Trump. And I think that's an opportunity in many ways.
Mo?
I get the sense that many of our NATO allies, not necessarily all of them, but many of them have shrunk in the sense of, like, if we don't say anything, if we don't call attention to ourselves, then Trump will leave us alone or not necessarily make us the focal point of his next tariff attack. And I see a similarity as far as Republicans on Capitol Hill, where privately they will excoriate the president. Privately, they will laugh at him, but publicly they're loath to say anything. And I get the sense that many of the allied nations are the same in that respect, where privately they have nothing positive to say about him, but publicly they're loath to actually stand against him, with the exception of Mark Carney. And to Michael Shure's point, there is an opportunity for someone or some nations to step into that void, step into that breach. I'm reticent to believe that there will be a lot of nations, because there is a justifiable fear as to what this president will or will not do, or whether he has any wise counsel around him to stop him from catering to his worst impulses.
Yeah, that's true. What Mo's saying. I think that this is a different opportunity, because rarely does a kind of a nation or a leader that leads a country that is a smaller economy than the major ones that are at Davos and go to the G12s and those sorts of things have that opportunity. So, it's not like this is Belgium and Slovakia coming together. No, this is Canada speaking also to France and Germany. They're speaking to the United Kingdom. There are big players that are here now, which does change it a little bit. I think this isn't just the small potato saying, "Hey, look at us, look at us." You know, that famous image of Trump at one of those economic summits, sort of pushing his way through those other leaders, and that the leaders didn't know what to do. I don't think Trump can push his way through these kinds of leaders right now. So I think it's a little different, though. That the precedent is exactly what Mo says it is.
The Board of Peace, just because it was mentioned in the context of Canada, and they had the fanfare, they have their new logo and all of that stuff. And what Randy's saying is true. Not only has Trump made it easier for other countries to come together, he made it easier for China to seek out other trading partners like China. Well, Canada's already made a trade deal with China, so that's very much to the point. I mean, all of Trump's moves here only drive these nations that were traditionally allies into a position of now running into the arms of China from a trade standpoint and an economic standpoint, it appears. But this Board of Peace is just another gangsta move. I mean, it's $1 billion a piece for membership. It's completely run by Trump. He has utter fiat, it would seem, as to who can come, who can stay. And then what happens to that money? $20 billion, because 20 nations have signed on. It's all in the control of Donald Trump. He can literally dissolve the border next month and keep the money. Michael?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. Everything that Donald Trump does in this sort of way is a scam. I shouldn't say everything. So much of what he does is a scam, and everything's probably not far off. But that's what's happening here, as if the appearance of peace, the appearance of people paying into something, that the elitists that can afford to pay into that automatically make it legitimate and curative. That's not the case. And he's going to learn that. And Carney, who he said couldn't join, Carney, I think before that said he didn't want to join. So the invitation's rescinded. The invitation, I believe, was already rejected. And I'm not 1,000% sure of that, but I believe that Carney preempted it. So these sort of gimmicks, they work to get you elected. They don't work to make you a successful president.
That's something, just because Michael mentioned that, Mo, it's funny. I think when I watch Trump and he craps all over the Somalis and he talks down to all of the traditional allies of America, and he says, "You live because we let you live," and I mean, he's an utter wrecking ball to every bit of diplomatic work and the truly cherished relationships that have built themselves over decades. I think he thinks, and just goes to a reflexive move of a stump speech. This is the stuff he can throw, and his MAGA crew will scoop it up. But you're not with the MAGA crew. You're in a much different situation and forum. And that stuff just doesn't fly with the world community, yet he still serves it up.
It seems like, and I guess this is where we segue in the conversation to his cognitive health and declining physical health. It seems like he's time shifting. He will invoke Obama and Hillary Clinton as if it were 2016. Although it's 2026, he is a transactional figure who is desperate to be received and remembered as a transformational figure. And he's in perpetual campaign mode, as if there is another election to win. And his audience, in his mind, never changes. He is always speaking to future voters in his warped mind when there are no more elections for him to run in or to win. And I think that's just more emblematic of his struggle to cognitively stay in this moment where he bounces between the past, different levels of the past, and refuses to come into the present.
It's such an ongoing question as to what's going on with Trump. Now the bruises show up on both hands, and the Caroline Leavitt apologist explainer says, "Oh, the president knocked his hand into the side of a desk, and that's the reason he's got this." And there's all. I think what we see certainly is someone who's diminished cognitively, and You have the rants that he posts on social media. You know, they can be 150 different posts. And even on his self-correcting, like he has on NATO, you'll recall he said in his speech, and again, he's speaking and just spinning because that's what he's been able to get away with and be able to con an entire country into allowing him to serve as president based on just this spinning. He talked about the fact that the NATO allies would never be there for the U.S. You know, and this is now been called out. Of course, the NATO allies not only showed up for the U.S. after 9/11, but they sacrificed in large measure, and has been noted, I think, from reporting this week, that the Danes, who were at the focus of this whole Greenland thing, they sacrificed with soldiers who lost their lives on a per capita basis in greater numbers than any other country in NATO. So, you know, in his latest move, he's saying, yeah, but the U.S. should have triggered NATO's mutual defense clause to advance the Trump domestic agenda on immigration. This was, again, and here's the quote, maybe we should have put NATO on the test, invoked Article 5 and forced NATO to come here and protect our southern border from further invasions of illegal immigrants, thus freeing up large numbers of Border Patrol agents for other tasks. I mean, this is, again, it's lunacy meets policy meets the world. Michael?
By the way, it's go to the Mexican border for the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. So, I mean,
right.
That's just
it's an odd, right.
Who is having that conversation?
Exactly.
I guess, you know, Cal is in the ACC. Anything's possible. But but it's no. I mean, it's silly justification from whiny people who think that they're entitled to change the world, and they look for ways of making it happen and loopholes that may or may not exist. But it sells to the people who are on that far flank that believe that you know, in a dictatorial government. I'm always shocked when I'm, you know, out, or any of us are out covering Trump people, or we even see it, and they're okay with the dictator. They're not upset with the dictator. They weren't when they voted for him, and now that he's behaving like one, they endorse it. So there is that segment of our big neighborhood that has that. And
yeah, there is that, but he does not have the popularity that he once had. And
no, he doesn't at all. And even within his own tribe, he doesn't. So
I think that's an important distinction, Michael. I just want I make it only because, you know, as we look at the rise of despotism and authoritarianism, this isn't a guy who has the popularity of, let's say, you know, some of the fascists who've risen to power, including Hitler. You know, there's a time in which
that's true, and I'm only juxtaposing it to the Trump that is a candidate and the Trump that is a president, and where these people go and how they behave. But you're 100% right. It is not a perfect analog to any sort of anything that happened, because he doesn't have that popularity. Certainly not the popularity that he had before, and it's certainly not that popularity he had. But other dictators, the famous ones that we know of, who also had the media behind them in many ways, and Trump does not. He has his own media, but at least there are people out there pushing back.
Yeah, there are people out there pushing back, although the propaganda machine is strong. So I'm glad you mentioned the media. The Greenland threat that was so real gets spun by Trump after, I guess, he had a reality check. Somebody, maybe, you know, somehow he picked up some headwinds and backed off. Albert, do you have the Maria Bartiromo exchange with Trump? She did an interview. Yeah, by the way, it's amazing you can even understand Maria Bartiromo with her head so full up Trump's rear. It's an amazing thing that she can still be heard in any way. But here she is with Donald Trump. This is, again, right on the heels of him having said, you know what, the Greenland thing, as it turns out, I'm getting everything I want from Greenland. They backed off. And here's a bit of that conversation.
Mr. President, thank you so much for talking with us today.
Thank you.
You have talked about this framework, the beginning of a framework that you've spoken with the NATO secretary about. Can you tell us anything about that? Does this ultimately mean that the U.S. will ultimately acquire Greenland?
Well, I don't know if I can say that, but it could be. I mean, it's possible. Anything's possible. But in the meantime, we're getting everything we wanted, total security, total access to everything. have as many bases, have all the equipment that we want. And very importantly, we're building the Golden Dome, we call it. It was called the Iron Dome. Somehow the Golden Dome sounded a little bit better, but we have a technology that's second to none. You saw what we did with Israel, and that's our ingenious that did that. And it's amazing. It's just, it's foolproof, and we're going to be building it, and it works much better when we have access to Greenland. Just covers more territory, covers it more accurately. Missiles will be more accurate by having it. It's very important strategically as a piece, and we will have everything we want. We're getting everything we want at no cost.
So the Golden Dome will be on Greenland?
A piece of it, yes, and it's a very important part because everything comes over Greenland. If the bad guys start shooting, it comes over Greenland. So we knock it down. It's pretty infallible. It's amazing. Ronald Reagan had the idea a long time ago, but we didn't have any technology at that point. The concept was great, but there was no technology. Now we have unbelievable technology. I mean, virtually 100%.
So what are we talking about? An acquisition of Greenland? Are you going to pay for it?
We're talking about it. It's really being negotiated now, the details of it, but essentially it's total access. It's there's no end. There's no time limit. We're not doing a 99 or a 10-year or anything else, the famous 99-year deals that you hear about, because countries can't do it for that. Countries go on longer. And so I think it's going to be something that's very well, already it's being reviewed very well. Well, I noticed the stock market went up very substantially after we announced it, but the details are being negotiated now. It'll be very good.
So because the GDP of Greenland is like $3.3 billion, but people are valuing Greenland of between 50 billion and almost $1 trillion. So what are you willing to pay for Greenland?
Well, I'm not going to have to pay anything. We're going to have total access to Greenland. We're going to have all military access that we want. We're going to be able to put what we need on Greenland because we want it. We're talking about national security and international security.
Okay, so that's enough. In other words, he's got the same deal that we had going in. We had all of those. This is utter BS and spin. But right. Mo, this is also a huge backpedal. Right? It was, we'll take Greenland one way or another. And now it's, well, as it turns out, we're going to be, and he spins it as though he's just negotiated it, but obviously it's the same deal we've always had with Greenland.
Yeah, if you're halfway educated about the history of the United States and Greenland, you know that since 1951, we've had all of those things. The ability to have military bases. Originally, we had 15, and as the world continued to evolve, it was whittled down to 1. Maybe we'll go back to 15 again. I find it strange that he would even verbally articulate some of our military capabilities and also strategic placement of our military capabilities in an effort to boast and brag. But that's a separate conversation. We gain nothing in Greenland, and we've paid nothing for Greenland. It's the status quo, but his sycophants will eat it up, and I've seen it. They believe it. They believe it's another win for the Trump administration. I can't argue with stupid.
And Mark, you say that this is essentially the same deal that he had before. It's not, because the deal he had before, had he not mentioned anything about taking Greenland, would have just happened. Now there is massive opposition to it. Now there are people that are looking at it more carefully. He has galvanized his opponents, and he has made the world think about this. So in a sense, it's much worse than where he was, even though the parameters of it haven't changed drastically.
Yeah, so true. It's been reframed now in this context of Trump's aggressive moves internationally.
Right.
So I want to turn to domestic funding of ICE and Department of Homeland Security. Michael, you know the Hill so well, and so do you, Mo. You guys have, I think, witnessed the way in which you cobble together coalitions to get things over the finish line. A year ago, Democrats are really on board with this ICE funding. I was pointing this out last hour. And now you have 7 lone Democrats crossing to support the funding of ICE to get an extra $10 billion, I think $46 billion for the Department of Homeland Security, which is already a bloated budget. It's insane. I mean, it sort of begins to rival the Pentagon in terms of how completely over the top it is in terms of funding. But more to the point on the politics. So the politics, I think, a year ago seemed to suggest, hey, we're all for the border and trying to get a hold of things. We didn't want to be seen. Democrats were probably thinking as being impediments to some kind of change of that policy. But now, with the brutality of ICE agents, the utter thuggery, the warrantless detentions, etc., it's a completely different look. Explain to me how they cobbled together this coalition and these 7 Democrats who crossed to vote for this funding, Michael.
Well, I mean, there's always an out in a massive appropriations bill, which is what this is. It was basically the funding of the Department of Homeland Security, which is more than just ICE. So you always have an out. If you're Don Davis in North Carolina, you can say, well, I don't want to see what happened with Hurricane Helene. I need to back FEMA here, right? And so the Democrats always have an out, especially, you know, a Democrat in a purple or a red state like Davis is in South Carolina. And then they're the ones who want to have an appearance in a swing district of being tough and saying, we want ICE, we just don't want to hire more ICE agents. So Tom Suozzi in New York was saying, listen, I'm voting to fund ICE, but I'm not voting to have them hire any more agents, or I'm not increasing the amount of money they're going to get. And he does. And then, of course, they're the soft ones who say things, and Suozzi, I think, was among them, that we don't want to have a shutdown. So if you look at the roster, it was Henry Cuellar, who has, you know, Trump has, who has endeared himself to Trump and vice versa in Texas, Jared Golden in Maine, who is always kind of a swing vote. What's her name in Washington? Lisa Glueson-Camperas, who's in a tough race. So these people vote for it for the politics of it, because, you know, in some circles, ICE and immigration enforcement is quite important, and they get an out by saying, you know, this is going to not just be for immigration, but it's for the TSA, it's for the Secret Service, it's for, you know, like we talked about just a second ago, FEMA, disaster relief, that sort of thing. But it is politics, and it gets messy.
Yeah, Mo, I guess it's true that you need to find political high ground, even though you have to hold your nose and vote for this.
Yeah, it comes down to the politics. I wish I could offer something substantively more than what Michael had offered, but it comes down to the politics. You have these representatives in these purple districts, and you have all 435 reps who are running for re-election. They're in perpetual campaign mode because they have to run for re-election every 2 years. This is an election year, and they're making political calculations. How they verbalize the reasoning for their votes is, for me, neither here nor there. They're speaking to the constituencies, and they offer a thin veneer of plausible deniability or believability as far as why they're voting against the larger Democratic Party's interests. It just comes down to politics, and they're trying to make sure that they have a future beyond November of 2026.
I'm kind of over time, and I've still got some stuff I want to ask you guys about. So just give me a second here. I want to ask you first on the ICE follow-up, the thuggishness, the horrors that we've seen wrought upon Minnesotans and others, the latest story with that 5-year-old who was detained with his father. I mean, all of these things seem to have floated to the surface of the media sphere. There's more of an awareness, might be a way to put it, of some of this stuff that is just so very difficult to countenance. And I'm wondering if you can speak to whether you think there'll be changes in this, or is this Miller-esque, this is Stephen Miller's thuggish desires to bring his crew down on Americans or those who are here seeking asylum, if this will continue as it is. Michael, do you have a thought on that?
I mean, I don't see it continuing if it continues to poll poorly. The president is polling poorly now. When you have an open Senate seat in Minnesota and you have the kind of organization that they have in Minnesota right now, you know, don't agonize, organize was always one of the mantras of the civil rights movement when things were really ugly. And they have organization now. They have people walking out of work. They have unions behind them. This in the face of, and it's all because of what's happening there. And of course, what's happened there is we've seen everywhere, but they're feeling it in a way that we're not feeling it right now. And so I expect it to continue. I mean, just like Mo was saying before, I mean, it is about the politics. As soon as it becomes unbearably unpopular, you're going to see it pulled back in some way as we get closer to November.
You know, when J.D. Vance showed up, Mo, though, I thought, oh, he's trying to, and he even said, you know, if an officer does something that seems to be outside of the rules of, we will definitely look into it and investigate it. I mean, even if that's just, obviously it was a rhetorical kind of Band-Aid, but what I'm getting at is it shows me that they may be beginning a pivot on all of this.
I 100% agree. And I was going to bring up J.D. Vance as how his own rhetoric has changed demonstrably and remarkably in the course of 3 weeks. You had an assumption and presumption of the guilt of Renee Nicole Good, and there was going to be no investigation, to at least the acknowledgement that there is a possibility of fallibility of ICE. So that is completely different from where they were 3 weeks ago, which says to me the polling has changed, the internal discussions have changed, and let's not forget, and Michael Shure brought up the open seat in Minnesota. There's also a fight for J.D. Vance's old seat in Ohio. So there are some concerns or vulnerabilities for the Republican Party, and not just on the House side, but the Senate side. They have to be judicious and careful to not make it more difficult on themselves. Now, the rhetoric doesn't necessarily change the policy. It may not change the behavior, but it tells you at least a sensitivity.
The soft demeanor of an expectant dad. That's what we want.
Guys, you're so great to stay overtime with me. Thank you. I look forward to next week. And again, really appreciate your thoughts and some great takes on things. All the best to you both.
Go Rams.
Go no.
Oh, Niners are no longer, Michael. Yeah, sorry about that. All right. Mo Kelly and Michael Shure, everyone. Bravo. Bye-bye, guys.
They are kissing my ass.
Yeah, I don't know about that. It's terrific to have everybody here. Thank you. We're not done.
The Mark Thompson Show.
No, we are not. Thank you guys for hanging out. We have a Florida segment to come. We have the Culture Blaster to come. Smash the like button like you mean it. It helps us in the world of YouTube.
Smash it with your iron rod.
Share those segments. You can share. Look at all the Seahawks fans have slid into the... Holly is a Seahawks fan, and that soft demeanor of an expectant dad. It was a great line. All right, Albert, Kim, I am committed to providing the news of Florida, and I'm excited to do so. But before I do it, I have to really have a sip of Coachella Valley coffee, which I really am loving today.
I have an email to read you, a text.
Excuse me, Kim. Please don't be a buzzkill.
Harsh your buzz. Yeah, my bad.
Yeah. Coachella, I believe it's the Sunrise blend I'm drinking today. Did you get it too, Michael? I put some out for you, and I do have. Did you get the scones, blueberry scones? I have out for you today?
I just have to say the green room has never been bluer.
Yeah, I've definitely picked up the green room game for Michael Snyder today.
I'm missing out not being in the studio.
Yeah, Sunrise blend is what we're pouring today in our green room.
Baker's
Make your
chocolate.
green room wherever you are. Make it special by pouring Coachella Valley coffee. CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. Use our discount code MARKT, and you'll get 10% off everything on the site, tea, coffee, spices, and you will enjoy a bit of paradise. CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. Again, one more sip if you would.
Yep.
So good. 10% off, CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. Mark T at checkout. Bravo.
Put that coffee down.
All right. I am now, without any further delay, wanting to hear that email.
I got a message from my sister, and she says, it pays to know you at the Mark Thompson Show. I am creating a tea-themed basket for my son's troop fundraiser next month, and I ordered some stuff from Coachella, and it occurred to me that I should ask if they do donations for stuff like this, and they said, well, since you know Kim, I'll go ahead and do that. Send me your mailing address, and I'll send you a bunch of tea. So how kind of them to donate to the local troop. What a kind thing to do. And
that is really cool.
The show. Really nice. So order the tea, order the coffee. They're super nice, and the product is superior.
Well, they get all their coffee and tea. They source from women-owned businesses and farms, many of them seeded by Coachella Valley coffee through the years. So they teach them how to curate, how to grow, and they go to the very best places through Latin America, Africa, et cetera. It's remarkable what they do. It's a boutique roastery. This isn't some, discounted bean, and this is all fresh. So you're getting to your home the very freshest, and that distinguishes them completely from most of the coffee purveyors that you'll deal with. So I love to hear that they have that kind of heart where they are so much a part of charitable efforts as well.
Yeah. So it's not only that they source it from all women-owned farms and that they're kind and participate in, giving back to the communities of the people that buy from them, but it's so good. Like, it's just, if it wasn't good, it'd be like, that's great.
Yeah, we wouldn't,
but
we
it's
would.
So good. Yeah.
It is. It's a piece of paradise. All right.
Mhm.
Thank you, Kim, for that testimonial. It was a very strong one. I liked it. All right.
The Mark Thompson Show.
It's time. This is Friday Fabulous, Florida.
It's time for Friday Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
A look at the weirdest stories from our weirdest state.
A Florida man is charged with a felony after hurling a ketchup packet at a Good Samaritan. That's right. He's facing up to 5 years after attacking a victim with an open ketchup packet at a bus station. Austin Simmons, 28, was passed out at the Grand Central Station in St. Petersburg. A concerned passerby stopped to check on him to see if he was okay. Simmons woke up and he was angry, aggressively advanced toward the would-be Good Samaritan and walked in the direction of this Good Samaritan and then threw an open ketchup packet at the victim. Simmons saying that there were 2 spots of ketchup on his jacket. The cops noted an open condiment package was pouring out on the floor, so you could see the vestige of everything that had happened. The condiment culprit told officers he was only trying to give the victim a ketchup packet. He was just trying to give it to him. He wasn't trying to strike him with it.
How do you strike someone with a tiny little ketchup packet?
Well,
when I heard about this crime, I thought, oh my God, they finally got Donald Trump on something.
Yeah, that's right. Trump throws a lot of ketchup. This is, if you're curious how much ketchup is actually in one of those little packets, it's 0.3 ounces. So
wait, I'm looking at this
0.3 of an ounce.
I'm looking at this booking photo, and it looks like, isn't that the lead singer from the Spin Doctors?
But wasting food is not okay, says John Slade. We have a tradition of rating the booking photos on a 10 scale. I'd say this guy is coming in. He's got some, I think Cheryl's right. I think he's kind of handsome. I'll give him an 8. Yeah.
He got the classic Florida man kind of. He looks kind of normal, but you can see where he went wrong.
He does. A Miami man with, quote, fast money as his tattoo opens fire after a victim wouldn't give him $1. This guy is a piece of work. You'll see his booking photo in a second. He's from Miami. He has a tattoo on his left knee, inked fast money. He has a bunch of tattoos, but the fast money is particularly relevant because he pulled a gun and opened fire after someone said that they wouldn't give him $1.
What the hell is going on in the United States of America?
Police say that Fernando de Carvalho, 28, approached 3 people sitting at the corner of Northeast Miami Court and 82nd Street. It was 3:30 in the afternoon. He asked one of them for $1. The victim said that he didn't have any money. Carvalho kept talking, but the victim said he couldn't understand what he was saying since he only speaks Haitian Creole. Then, when the victim turned and walked away, he suddenly heard a gunshot. Carvalho, who was being erratic, pointed the gun at the victim and said, "I will shoot you." They found the shell casing nearby, Kim, so they knew that this was the real deal.
I
He's
mean,
now facing charges of aggravated assault with a firearm and unlawful discharge of a firearm.
for a guy that's into fast money, first of all, if a guy has a tattoo that says fast money, he's probably broke. But also, don't you think
Isn't that the best kind of money, though, the fast
the
kind?
fast kind,
Yeah.
the bullet was probably worth more than the dollar. So I don't know. Maybe he just needs a better accountant.
Look, he's tatted up, a lot of face tattoos, which is definitely a choice that leans into to inking yourself up. But I'm going to tell you something. I know you're all giving him low marks in terms of the booking photo, but on the Mark Thompson Show booking photo scale, as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to give him an 8.5. I think he's kind of a handsome guy. I get it. He's got a lot of ink.
I'm telling Mark, this guy and the other guy should form a rap rock band. I'm telling you, they both look like they're straight off of the indie circuit.
They look kind of 90s grunge to me, but you're right. It's very aggro.
From the dead look in his eye and the tats on his face, if I saw that guy coming toward me, I'd go the other way.
I don't know. I mean, maybe, but I think he's kind of handsome. I don't know what that says about me, but I know you guys are turned off by the ink, but I'm saying I think he's got kind of a bad boy look.
Like a Florida Che Guevara, maybe.
Yeah, thank you, Albert. That's exactly it. Nancy gives him a 3. Well, I guess the love affair between him and Nancy is not going to happen. Florida man stopped in Alabama. He was stopped with 81 gallons of
meth.
No, it's not meth. It's moonshine. Is what we wanted. Yeah.
Sorry, it was Alabama.
It was a trick question.
Yeah,
most of the
my
time.
lunch that there's alcohol involved.
Yeah, but as Brother Snyder suggests, being there in Alabama, it's moonshine country. Cops discovered this Florida guy hauling 81 gallons of moonshine. It was a routine traffic stop. It's an amount, this is my favorite part of the story. It's an amount that authorities say far exceeds what can legally be transported without a license. Yes. Is it? 81 gallons is an amount that exceeds what can legally be transported.
Well,
the Ozark, what?
Can't you transport like a keg of beer or, cases of wine? I didn't know there was a limit. All right.
No, there is. Yeah, this it's like you're trafficking. But that was what moonshine was, right? It wasn't that, Michael? You're more of a moonshiner, right? It was illegally brewed and then illegally
distributed. Yeah, it's what people call Everclear.
Right. Thank you.
It's the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
Dirk says moonshine is okay in moderation.
Yeah, Dirk is right.
Yeah.
Dirk, moonshine, you just got to watch your intake. Yeah. So the cops and the Ozark Police Department, they, took all the stuff in. They tested it. Indeed, it is moonshine. And they say in a statement that the department has a tough stand against unregulated liquor, and it would likely have been sold with zero oversight, potentially contributing to other criminal activity. And so with that, and that's a great shot, the cop with all the moonshine. If you miss it, it's on the YouTube channel.
I think the guy missed a bet. He could have put cool little labels and logos on each bottle. But
you're right. It's very generic. I think he could have really made it his own. Yeah. Somebody said that their kin used to make that stuff. Yeah, that's the, we don't want to. It's like choosing between children, but we must choose a favorite. I'll remind you of the stories that we've just heard. The Florida man charged with the felony after allegedly hurling ketchup in ketchup packets at a Good Samaritan who was just trying to make sure he was okay. A Miami man with fast money tattooed on his knee opens fire after one of the guys he approached for $1 said, "I don't have any money to give you." And then the Florida man stopped in Alabama. He almost made it with 81 gallons of moonshine. What would be the favorite? I ask my second favorite McAllister, Kim McAllister.
That's hard. Is it the ketchup attacker or is it the moonshine guy?
Very, very tough.
Ketchup attacker.
Ketchup attacker, I think, is exotic and weird and funky and crazy in Florida.
Kim, how are you?
Yeah, nice job. What do you think, Michael Snyder?
Well, the moonshine guy got picked up in Alabama. That disqualifies him.
No, he's from Florida, though.
I don't care. This went down in Alabama. And also, insofar as I think it's hilarious that this guy threw a teeny weeny little packet of ketchup and got arrested because of his backlog of, I guess he was on parole at the time. I think that's my guy. The other guy, I agree with you. As much as I do like indie rock, I'd run the other way if I saw Tattoo Face.
I kind of like Tattoo Face. So did the other people in the chat. He's getting a little love. But, and Albert, I ask you.
All-time week of the mug shots. Very good mug shots this week.
Yes, I agree.
But I'll go with the non-mug shot. I like the moonshine story.
I love the moonshine story, too. Thank you, Albert. And that is Friday Fabulous Florida.
This has been Friday Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
Y'all come back now, here.
The Mark Thompson Show. It's our Friday show. If you're new, Fridays we usually run a little long. We're a little heavy on Fridays because we pack a lot of living in, But one of the things we do is Friday Fabulous Florida. So if you have a Florida story, thanks to many of you who have sent us stories. We do use them and appreciate always your input.
I've received a lot of positive letters.
Yeah, always appreciate any input. The Mark Thompson Show at gmail.com is our email. And now we turn to film, streaming, movies, etc. A guy who knows the world of subtitled movies. By the way, I saw Resident Family. What's it called?
Rental Family.
Rental Family. It's so good.
It is a lovely.
You
lovely
were
film.
so right. Wow, Rental Family. See it. It's perfect. This audience, I think, would love it. And of course, I'm an emotional person, so I choked up a bunch of times, but it was a very...
it is spiritual uplift on screen.
Yeah, but it's not just all, choke up kind of movie. It's
No.
Yeah, it's really, really good. Anyway, subtitle movies, Marvel movies, DC Universe, whatever the other universe is, Marvel Universe. He knows them all. He does right about it. He's been doing it for decades. He's the Culture Blaster, Michael Snyder. Hi, Culture Blaster.
Hey, Mark, it's great to be back. Hi, Kim. Hi, Albert. I'm still a little shell-shocked from the 49er loss, but, it's time to move on to the Warriors. Oh, wait, Jimmy Butler was injured and their season is in peril. Go Giants! No, I'm ready. I'm ready. Yeah, and
that is wild, Albert. Jimmy Butler, is that a season-ending injury for him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is. Yep.
Yeah.
Sadly enough. Hey, speaking of seasons, it's now truly Oscar season.
Oh, Hollywood has come out to put on the bow tie. And who are they?
The nominations. Well, and this, of course, is when we celebrate the lives of author, pundit Oscar Wilde, actor, musician Oscar Levant, and, of course, Oscar Mayer. No, I'm just kidding.
The Oscar thing. I get it.
But speaking of wieners, I spent most of the morning listening to Donald Trump's latest album, Old Purple Hands is Back. And it's his follow-up to Old Orange Face is Back. And the new album features some original numbers like I've Got Those Greenland Blues and D is for Despot and Dementia.
Google
and wait, he does some cover versions. The Rolling Stones' I Can't Get No Satisfaction from Melania. Split Enz' History Never Repeats Because I'm Rewriting It. And, of course, Sweet's Ballroom Blitz. And that,
Don't talk to me that way.
That tells the tale in and of itself.
That was very inappropriate.
I know.
Yeah, really not right.
They smash it with your Golden Dome.
Unreal. Yeah.
I know. Anyway,
well, I'm very excited that you follow the news as closely as you do, Michael. But of course, you're here to give us your takes on film. It being Oscar nomination day, please share. I now will have to see Sinners because it was very much applauded by the Academy.
It will
more nominations than any other film in history.
It will upset you. There is a lot of blood and gore.
That's what I'm hearing.
It's a vampire movie, but it is so much more. It's about the Black experience in the South. It's about post-slavery in what was a slave state. It's about Black businessmen trying to get juke joint up and running, much to the chagrin of the local chapter of the KKK. Now, it is a lot of things besides just being a vampire movie.
It
But
must be, because they seem to love it.
it's a rockin' vampire movie, though.
Wow.
Anyway, we'll get to a few notes about the Oscar nominations at some point, but I do want to tell people quickly, we've reviewed all these movies on the Mark Thompson Show in the past when they were given short runs for Oscar consideration, but I want people to know that The Choral with Ralph Fiennes, a wonderful period piece about a chorus group during the World War I era in England, coming together and having a strife and issues as they try to get a show on the road. The Testament of Ann Lee, featuring a bravura performance, as Ann Lee by the lovely actress. She's blonde, she's beautiful, she looks like a Bratz doll. You love her, I love her.
I don't know who you're talking about.
I don't know. I'm not going to insult her anymore. Sound of Falling, the German movie, wonderful, and the animated film Arco. They're all available now to be seen in various theaters across the country.
As long as you're digressing, I will further digress and ask you, and one of the things I hear the most from listeners is, after your appearance, is there a place where Michael lists these films that he has reviewed? Is there a place where I can read the review as well as hear the review on your show?
I've received a lot of positive letters.
Yeah.
Well, I sometimes do print reviews of some of the things we discuss on the Thompson Show.
But you don't regularly note these movies, that you don't reduce it to pretty good, don't miss it.
No, you can listen to the Mark Thompson Show on a Friday.
So this is an exclusive way in which you can learn these things.
You can also go to at Culture Blaster on X, or you can go to the Michael Snyder's Culture Blast page on Facebook. And I
good.
usually
So you
post
list it there.
I post a list of them alongside an excerpt from your show, which is just my segment.
That's great. I love that. Michael has gone the extra step. You see what your brother Michael does, Albert? That's what you should do. All right.
And by the way, I was joking with her. Amanda Seyfried is wonderful. She does look like a Bratz doll, but she gives an amazing performance in The Testament of Ann Lee.
All right. It's time for you to get to these, because I've got to wrap you up in about 90 seconds.
Hey,
so go
fine.
ahead.
Yeah, good luck. Mercy is what we'll kick things off with. And I was kind of excited. A science fiction murder mystery with some over-the-top action in its third act. It's all about a Los Angeles police detective played by Chris Pratt, who is literally on the hot seat when he's accused of killing his wife, played by Annabelle Wallis, who people may know from Peaky Blinders. Anyway, it's the near future when the LAPD has instituted the Mercy court system, wherein the accused is locked into a seat before an AI judge who examines the evidence, takes testimony, and decides the verdict in the span of 90 minutes. Okay.
Oh, wow.
If found guilty, the defendant is then instantly executed. I am not kidding.
Oh, my God.
At where they sit, because they're in that seat, right? So for this was shot in IMAX in 3D, and I'm thinking,
so it's a courtroom, or what is it?
Wait, no, it's like an isolated chamber.
Okay.
Anyway, this was shot in IMAX in 3D, and that's kind of weird because there's a static quality to it. For much of the running time, again, just over 90 minutes, of course, Pratt's character is manacled and sitting in the defendant's chair, looking at a big screen with video evidence, and the AI judge, who, by the way, is played by the overqualified but, digitally subdued Rebecca Ferguson, as he tries to argue his case. And despite the use of IMAX 3D footage, we're sitting and looking at Pratt on a screen as he looks at a screen, and the digital clock ticks down from 90 minutes to potential execution.
Oh, that's wild.
Unless his character is
That's
declared
really
innocent.
wild.
So, the ticking clock aspect is kind of cool.
Yeah.
But the frenzy that comes about at the end of the movie is too much too late, I think.
Is he represented by counsel, or
he has to represent himself, and they go to the evidence. It's very cut and dry as far as this.
and it's an AI judge.
Yeah, played by Rebecca Ferguson.
I see.
Listen
She looks
to me.
real.
I don't want to hear you.
Yeah,
I know.
Judge
So
Judy,
the ticking clock aspect is cool. It is.
Okay.
But, Spielberg's Minority Report, starring Tom Cruise, did this sort of movie crime-solving computer thing much earlier and better. A quick note, we talked about vampires earlier, briefly. Tom Cruise did this sort of... but
Return of the Vampire, or whatever that was.
No, he was in Interview with a Vampire, so there's a connection there. But also, Mercy was directed by Russian filmmaker Timur Bekmambetov, whose 2004 vampire movie Night Watch was way more thrilling than this, as was his 2006 sequel Day Watch, and his 2012 horror comedy Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. I'm thinking Timur
he's the guy who did that. He did this.
Yeah, Timur should stick with vampires is all I'm saying. Anyway,
Mercy's in theaters. It's an IMAX. Filmed in IMAX.
Moving on. H is for Hawk is a very true story, tenderly told, and it deals with a woman who has to cope with her father's passing and does so by deciding to train a goshawk. It's, again, a true story. It's biographical in some ways, and it's basically about Helen Macdonald, who was a naturalist, and her father was Alistair Macdonald, the British press photographer who worked for years and years and years at the Daily Mirror, and he took some of the most notable photos of the Beatles when they were starting out. So he had a big rep, and he's played by Brendan Gleeson here, and Brendan Gleeson, even in a supporting role like this, is a treat to watch. And Helen Macdonald, the daughter, is played by the wonderful actress Claire Foy. You may remember her from The Crown. She played the young Elizabeth in that. And H is for Hawk is a lovely film. You know, that movie Train Dreams is not about big explosions and craziness. It's about one man's life. This has the sort of personal, up close, and quite moving look into a woman coping with this situation that doesn't scream blockbuster, but it's just a lovely, lovely film. And again, beautifully acted. It's directed by Philippa Lothorpe, and she co-wrote the screenplay with Emma Donahue. It's based on the memoir by MacDonald. I highly recommend H is for Hawk, but it's not a big blockbuster.
Right.
You know, sometimes you want to take a little breath and watch something that addresses the human condition, and that's what H is for Hawk does.
Well, it's funny. I was seeing that the producers of this film also produced 12 Years a Slave and Moonlight.
Right, because they work out of the UK, and of course,
I see.
The director of 12 Years a Slave is also from the UK.
I see. Okay,
et cetera.
But it was a best-selling book on which
maybe they acquire properties and they're very canny about what they do. I want to talk about.
He wants to move on.
I want to talk about something that has a little topical vibe to it and a little political vibe to it, and that plays into the Mark Thompson show in a way. The movie's called Atropia, and it's definitely scattershot when it comes to its comedy aspects, but it is a bold attempt to depict something really odd but really real. And it's a fictional movie, but it's based on some true circumstances. This mix of satire and drama depicts an actual program that the U.S. military ramped up during the early 2000s in remote areas of our country, including the California desert, where this film is set. And it's essentially the military decided they needed a fake country to train troops prior to sending them over to the Middle East. So in the case of this movie, they come up with Atropia. And it's a little fake town, and there's a barracks on the outskirts where these American soldiers are billeted, and they have actors and actual soldiers playing the residents, the Iranians in this case, although they again call the country Atropia, and the insurgents leaders. So Alia Shawkat, who you may remember from Arrested Development, and she's done a lot of work. She's a really wonderful actress. She's absolutely magnetic on screen as Fayrouz, someone of Iranian descent who wants to be an actress, who's constantly sending audition tapes into Hollywood producers and agents. And this is the work she can get, portraying someone living in this Atropian town and dealing with the soldiers coming in. And while she's there, she strikes up a kind of a relationship with the genuine soldier who's back from the Middle East, and he's playing the role of an insurgent known as Abu Dice. And so it's kind of intriguing. They have this little romance going on, and they're trying to portray a real circumstance to prepare these troops who are ready to be going into the theater of war. Let's be straight up about it. But the rest of the cast here, it may be largely unknown, but you do get Callum Turner as Abu Dice. Chloe Sevigny plays Pina, who is one of the people running the program for the government, as is the character of Hayden, played by Tim Heidecker. And you know, and you even get a cameo by Channing Tatum. Everybody's committed to the bit, and it works. And it's not hilariously funny, but I was caught up in it. Written and directed by actress Haley Gates. Atropia is worth a look, particularly because right now we're coping with all this international unrest, which could explode at any moment.
Well, I have to say, it's kind of an intriguing premise. So, yeah, look forward to it.
Yeah, it's in select theaters. And let's wrap up the new movie segment here by talking about a horror film. And I know you're not a horror guy. And I have to say
but
that
you horror fans have taken over the world, so it's a little like the comic book, like, you know.
The comic book movies.
The comic book takes over. All the comic book nerds have taken over the world. All the horror movies have found me.
Well, anyway, but this is...
Anyway, go ahead. What have you got?
Okay, so based on a video game isn't always a bad thing, right? All too many Resident Evil movies to the contrary. You know, the TV shows The Last of Us, Fallout, and Arcane are wonderful adaptations of video games in longer format, prestige video formed. And then you have the Silent Hill movies, which are inspired by the popular horror-themed game about a New England town called Silent Hill that's kind of a nexus of evil. These movies are pretty wonky affairs. They're kind of notable for their uber creepy visuals and mood, but they're short on coherent story. They do have their fans. I mean, the franchise has this scary nurse creature, the scary nurse with a deformed bandaged face, and this has become a go-to cosplay costume at various Comic-Cons. So Return to Silent Hill is the third of these films, and it's more of the same. Creative creature designs brought to life and amped up by the now, requisite CGI magic, and empty human characters that are kept afloat by thrusting them into decrepit buildings and nightmarish streets amid smoke and ash and gooey, gory splatter as the monsters attack. The actors do what they can, which is not much other than be part of the spectacle. The male lead here is played by Jeremy Irvine. The character's called James. He's an artist who meets a woman named Mary while she's waiting for a bus out of Silent Hill. And when Mary misses her bus, James offers her a ride back to Silent Hill. Bad idea. It appears they move in with one another, but Mary has a secret that dooms their love, I think. It's hard to tell because the scenes jumble together. They go back and forth in time and in and out of these hallucinogenic dreamscapes. Some action takes place at a haunted hospital, signaling that either James or Mary or both of them need medical care. I kind of felt like I needed medical care when it was over. Anyway, I guess it's a good thing that Return to Silent Hill ups the number of scary nurses, because that's apparently an emblem of...
A lot of people liked the video game. One of their favorite video games is Silent Hill. I'm seeing it in the chat. And it appears, somebody's asking, is Pyramid Head in this sequel?
Yes, Pyramid Head. But we don't have to talk about Pyramid Head. I do want to say, yeah, you like the video games. Have you ever tried to play a movie? It's a different format. So anyway, I have to point out that Hannah Emily Anderson, the actress who plays Mary, gets plenty for her show reel as she enacts a number of really different personas in a series of wigs, and she goes from wholesome sweetheart to sleazy hottie to twisted goth ghoul, some kind of insect woman. But Irvine is a pretty bland presence as James, even with a bad fake beard. Anderson is fun to watch shapeshift, and there are all the surreal, grotesque things that pop up. Look, Return to Silent Hill is so choppy and uninvolving as a narrative. Yeah, personally speaking, I wouldn't have gone there in the first place, let alone Return. So Return to Silent Hill is in theaters across the country. And that's it in terms of new movies. Buddy.
All right. What else do you have? Anything? TV?
I'll tell you some quick TV notes because Netflix has been hitting it out of the ballpark for me lately. Agatha Christie's Seven Dials is a short but really fun miniseries set in England in 1925, the Roaring 20s, and there's like a party, and at the party, one of the guests ends up dying at some point, and it seems like someone has played a prank on him, but there's actually sinister forces at work. And the weirdest thing is the person who kind of starts uncovering the crime is this heiress named Lady Eileen Brent. They call her Bundle, and she is an absolute delight. She's fun to watch. She's played by Mia McKenna-Bruce, the young British actress. Her mom is played by Helena Bonham Carter, who is always terrific. And the superintendent from Scotland Yard that gets involved is played by the great Martin Freeman. So you've got really good actors at the front of this thing, and it's so fun. And it turns out to be something greater than just a simple murder. There's national security issues. There's the impending war with Germany that seems like it's on the horizon. Agatha Christie's Seven Dials, really cool, on Netflix. And one more Netflix treat that I'm just catching up to, and I apologize for being late on this. Death by Lightning is so good. It is a political thriller with tongue-in-cheek. It's an historical drama. It's about the rise of James Garfield, who becomes the president, the 20th president of the States, and Charles Guiteau, the man who assassinated him. And the
Wow.
actors are fantastic. Mike Makowski created this thing. And here's the cast, and they are wonderful. As Garfield, Michael Shannon, who is terrific. As his wife, Crete, Betty Gilpin. As one of his colleagues in the Republican Party, Bradley Whitford.
Jeez.
As Chester Arthur, who becomes his vice president, Nick Offerman, and as Charles Guiteau in a performance that seems leagues away from his performances in Succession and Ripper Street, Matthew McFadden. It is an absolute treat, and if you're a history buff, and I know you are totally attuned to that kind of thing, I highly recommend.
I'm going to jump in. It's coming. It's on Netflix now.
It's good.
Yes, it is.
I have seen.
Kim's
Seen
it.
this. I watched it, and it's not that long. It's like, what are there, 4 or 5 episodes?
It's
Kim,
not,
how are you?
It's not terribly long, and it's really worth every minute you put into it.
I wondered how historically accurate it is, but I'll tell you what, if it's at all accurate, I sure learned a lot about what happened. And it's amazing because at the end, well, I won't tell you what happens at the end.
If you know anything about history,
kind of bad.
If you know anything about history,
well, we know he was shot, assassinated.
I just said assassinated. Yeah, Charles.
Yeah,
we know he was assassinated.
Right, I know, but how often do we think about the story? How
Right.
often do we
And
talk
this
about
wasn't
the
one of
story?
those bang you're dead situations. And one of the interesting things about this that I want to point out is
My recollection is that he was that the one where it's like a rolled up newspaper or something?
Well, I have to say, as rich as the characterization of James Garfield, who seemed very progressive, especially for the time, the portrayal of Guiteau is very tragic. He apparently had obviously mental problems, but he also had frustration and misery at every turn in his life.
Oh, interesting.
And so,
that's what led him to the.
You feel a sense of
understanding,
tragedy.
even though it was not.
It's tragic. So it's the weekend tonight.
So Death by Lightning is what that's called. Go ahead.
Tonight I'm going to be. Oh, why don't you do the recap and then I'll.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I apologize.
Yeah, it's okay.
Very sorry. I'm amped up on Coachella Valley Coffee.
All right. Death by Lightning. You just heard about it. The political thriller, historical drama. James Garfield, the man who assassinated him. It's filled with apparently brilliant acting and also brilliant actors and terrific performances. You will like it. He says, check it out, and so does Kim. Agatha Christie's Seven Dials, short but fun miniseries. It's a period piece, England in 1925. Again, great actors, a lot in the plot, more than just a murder mystery. He says, check that out. Where is Agatha? Is that Netflix?
Netflix. I don't want to gush about Netflix, but they are certainly
They're
satisfying
hitting
my
the ball.
entertainment needs.
Return to Silent Hill, the monsters. Even though you liked maybe you, the audience, liked the video game, he's saying that this one is choppy, it's uninvolving as a movie, you will be disappointed. Atropia, the interesting premise, California desert, military needs a fake country to train their troops. It's in California, as we say, and the actors pretending to be residents of this town. The building relationship between one of those actors and an actual soldier who's training. A lot of very talented performances that really bought into the premise. Michael liked it. He thought it was right. He thought it was good
To an extent, yeah.
Yeah, it's not. You say give it a ride. It's not. You're not over the moon for it,
Right,
but-
and I won't say not terrible. I think it's a little better than that.
Okay. Yeah. H is for a Hawk is Brendan Gleeson, Claire Foy. It is contemplative, as I got from you. It's sort of a. It's the kind of film that there's not tons of action or stuff going on that rivets you, but you're drawn in as opposed to being riveted in.
Right. It's moving. It's humane. For people who like train dreams and the moods that were generated there, this has a little bit of that very up close and personal vibe.
H is for Hawk. He says, I highly recommend it. Try to see it. You'll be happy you did, and it is in select theaters. Mercy. The premise is you've got 90 minutes. You've been accused, and you're representing yourself in front of an AI judge, and at the end of the 90 minutes, your fate is immediately meted out by execution. It's a bit of
What?
Or freedom. One of the other things
or
is
freedom.
They pay me a lot of money for having attitude.
There's the ticking clock, and then there's another thing that shows the percentage of potential guilt. And if it goes below a certain point, you're not going to get killed. So we keep seeing it going.
Is
up
that right?
and
Oh, yeah. I don't know. It seems kind of like
the idea is much better than the pardon the word execution.
Yeah, it sounds kind of wild.
Seriously, what the
I might go for it. Anyway, it's in select theaters. That is the list. What else did you want to say, Culture Blaster? We're out of time.
Tonight in Tarzana, of all places, down here in
Tarzana,
Southern California,
Southern
two
California.
of my favorite LA area bands are playing a bill. The place is called the Maui Sugar Mill, and it is a dive bar, and kind of cool. It's in a strip mall in Tarzana, and the bands are the Magnificent, with among the lead singers, the mighty Manfred, DJ, and music archivist, and my buddy Todd Westover is on drums, and the fantastic Fellinis with Vita and Kenneth. They are kind of a retro 60s, 70s pop, new wavy. It's so much fun. This is going to be a great show tonight at the Maui Sugar Mill.
Wow, listen to you. You're really getting out there. You get out there all the time. Very proud of you. By Friday, I'm pretty much played.
I was going to ask if you and Courtney would join me. It's free entry. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, I would like to, but I'm tired. I'm going to see her family tonight. I got to meet her family.
Oh, finally?
Well, I've met them. I meant, you're right. I made it sound like I've never met them. I've met these two before. They're great.
I sense a potential comedy, a film comedy.
Yes.
They're
They're really cool, so I hope we have fun.
Anyway.
Michael, you can read him, Michael Snyder, the voice of San Francisco. Albert has it up there, and you can find him at thevoicesf.org, also across social media, because that's where he posts this segment. On X, he's at Culture Blaster.
Indeed.
And then on Facebook, he's at...
it's Michael Snyder's Culture Blast.
Yes, and he comes and goes on a rainbow. Thank you, Michael.
You're welcome. Bye, everybody.
Yeah, the great Michael Snyder. I know. It's very exciting to have him here. I'm happy that he stopped.
The Mark Thompson Show.
This is Mark Thompson.
We've reached that time. Hello, people. So is Jack Smith the only person who's standing up to Trump? Asks Chaplain Fred with a $5 super chat. Wow. I guess Democrats are just waiting for the crumbs to fall from the aftermath.
Big shout out.
Big shout out to Chaplain Fred. I would say, he's not literally the only one standing up, and you've seen Adam Schiff stand up. You've seen Eric Swalwell, Chris Murphy.
Gavin Newsom.
Yeah, Gavin Newsom.
Yeah.
We didn't get to the Gavin Newsom thing. I really will. Albert, will you send the Gavin Newsom stuff to Tony, and then we'll be able to run that on Monday, please. But I understand what you're saying. I just, I take your point. Not enough is being done to stand up to him, but he's not the only one standing up. And I take your implied point, which is Jack Smith is insanely courageous, because this is a sober-sided, deep-thinking, earnest public servant. And most of those people, I would even say, I'll say most because I don't know to a person, have been chased out of the Justice Department. They have purged and cleansed the Justice Department of anyone who's not a toady for this administration. They do the litmus test. Do you think the 2020 election was legitimate? And that Trump lost that election to Joe Biden? And if you say, yeah, I think it was legitimate, you're done. And more to the point, even if you lie on that question, they will put you in service of prosecuting any of the political enemies of this administration. So the Justice Department is no longer what it was. it has been transformed so quickly into being another instrument of power for this administration and this government, which only serves the interests of the chief executive. Luis says the Board of Peace, in quotes, with billion-dollar entry is modeled after the Star Wars cantina on, what is it called? Mos Eisley? Just a den of scum and villainy orchestrated by Jabba the Trump. Wow.
Big shout out.
I love Luis. He puts it always in a context. That's great. I thought some of the people in that bar in Star Wars were endearing. It wasn't all wall-to-wall scum. Angela Silva says, love the show. Hope this chat attracts many more. A $20 super chat.
Big shout
How come
out.
I'm just seeing about this now, Albert or Kim? How dare you? I mean, I wanted to see that Angela Silva contributed $20 to the show. I wanted to see it a long time ago.
Big shout out.
I know.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Angela Silva. I appreciate it. We already did the Will It Work at a DUI checkpoint. Good day, everyone. I am here, says Milton Watkins. He is the bookbinder in Australia, watches the show live while he binds books in the coolest craft that I've become aware of in a long time. Luis says, with a $5 super chat,
Thank you so much.
I never put ice in my scotch, but this ice has me drinking lots of scotch, and that's gotten more expensive with these stupid tariffs. Thanks, MAGA. Yeah, it's a lose-lose, isn't it, Luis? Thank you. No, he says, I love how JD acts like they're making an arrest in the tundra with no other humans in the vicinity. Yeah, exactly. Like with the kid, what do we do with the child? I mean, I don't know. Well, we can't let you know we've got him. I think we're going to hear more about that. Did ICE walk in the school and take the kid? Shame. No, they walked into the garage and they tried to, well, as I understand it, and maybe, Kim, you know more of the specifics, but I thought they asked the child to knock on the door to try to draw the mother out. Isn't that what happened?
Yes.
Yeah. So the child was being used in several ways, and in the end, he's spirited off to this detention center in Texas. And in these detention centers, people are dying by the scores, and they can't be inspected by any member of Congress unless there's 7 days' notice. It's a bit of what Chris Murphy was saying in the cut we played for you, I think, in hour one, which is they've created their own law. All the existing law is being ignored. Any member of Congress should be able to show up at any federal facility unannounced and gain entry. That's no longer the case. Just as though it's no longer the case that warrants need to be produced for these jackbooted thugs to enter your place of residence. This is Orwellian, 1984.5. Blue Spark with a $10 super sticker. Why am I just seeing these things now? I can see we're going to have another meeting. Oh, my God.
I think we flashed it up earlier, but you were in conversation. And I blame you.
No,
Come on, blame
I don't
you.
know. I don't know about that. I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna go back and watch.
Listen to me. I don't want to hear you.
Yeah. Albert, I ask you. You're a temperate. You're a temperate mind. Kim, to be honest, and myself.
Don't pit us against each other.
No, we are both. No, because
that's very poor parenting.
And let me tell you, Albert, something that you don't. You're not aware of because you weren't on the show that day. I believe. Maybe you were, but Kim has lied about. Oh, she was. She was. She was. Well, you were here, right, Albert?
What?
On the Kim lied about the. Who was it? Jessica Denson. She said I sent her the link 3 times.
I did, but you know what I did? I accidentally had a J in front of her email address. And then after the show, I apologized, but I did not lie. I did send it. I just mistyped it.
I'll retract the word lie. I think she's right.
Thank you.
She did not lie, but she did misrepresent that, she'd sent it and she didn't go back and double check it. It was you, Albert. Now I remember it was your brother, Albert, who had to send it with the correct email address.
It's true. Yeah. Thank you.
I know.
Glad we're hashing this out on Friday.
Yeah, we got.
You just don't get it, do you? You don't.
I'm starting to get it. All right. Picking on Kim. Why are you doing that? She's got a show to do. Yvonne Beachmont.
I got a guy waiting for me over there.
We had a thing before the show started yesterday where I asked, you have 2 jobs in America now just to make ends meet. You got the job you need and you got the job you love, right? If you're lucky. And I asked Albert, which one is this? Are we the job that you need or the job that you love? And he cleverly said, well, I mean, one job I have, I can do from my home, like in my, right? In my shorts type thing. That's this job. So,
Yeah, you don't want me to stand up from this, from this position.
Albert, thank you.
And Kim has 2 jobs also, at minimum, that I know of. She has this job, and she has the After Party Live. That's what made me think of it when the person said you're holding her up on her own show. So she has a job she needs and a job she loves. I didn't ask her, and I won't ask her which one she needs and which one she loves.
I love them all. And the Nikki Maduro show on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Pacific.
Oh, that's right.
I'd be willing to bet my lunch that there's alcohol involved.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that was very well done.
Yeah.
Very, what am I trying to say, Albert? It's very well done and very diplomatically handled is what I wanted to say. All right.
Politically correct.
Politically correct. Good show, everybody.
Mark, are you here?
Yeah.
Yes, he's here. Hello, Mark.
The end is here, my friends, but it's only for the week. There will be a new beginning on Monday. And please do support us. Consider a Patreon or PayPal. Most of the audience has now left the show by now, but if you're around, there are links to Patreon and PayPal under all our videos, and that's how we really support ourselves, in addition to all of you generous super sticker and super chat offerers. Thank you very much. Monday, Sarah Kendzior joins us, along with the brilliant Gary Dietrich on Monday as well. So check that out. After Party Live is something Kim does over on another channel, and until Monday,
I'm Shadow Stevens for The Mark Thompson Show. Bye-bye.
We're out of time. Thank you all.
Out of time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.